Hey guys, and welcome back to another Chinaman Cricket Podcast episode. Today we'll be discussing the hotly anticipated India tour of Australia, starting off with the ODI series that kicks off this Friday. So we'll be just discussing some general things about the series, what we think will happen, and we've got some other stuff planned, so yeah, enjoy. Um, I guess we can start off with what we think the teams will be like. Um, it's sort of, I reckon we sort of discuss it together because I think it's kind of obvious what they'll pick. So, opening the batting for Australia, Ryan.
That's a difficult one.
It's a tough one.
Potentially David Warner and Aaron Finch.
That's pretty controversial.
Mm.
I don't know. I went for the safer option. I've gone for Cameron Green and Matthew Wade. I think that's probably what we'll come out with. But it would be interesting to give Warner and Finch a go at some point in the series.
Yeah, I think they know each other a little bit. I think Finch and Warner.
Cameron Green opening. That's like the one name you could think of.
With Wade, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the top four, yeah, Finch, Warner, Smith, Labuschagne. Maybe 5, 6, 7 is a little bit discussion. What do you reckon, Will?
I'll just speak to the top four first. I was just gonna say, Australia have got one of the best top fours in the world for one days, and like Labuschagne is really like he's sort of come out of nowhere. He's only actually played probably like 6 1 days for Australia, right? But he plays that number 4 role. I think in the next few years he's going to be pretty much the best in the world at playing that in that role. But yes, 5, 6, 7. I think for these three, the order doesn't matter because it's going to change constantly. That's how it always is with Australia, especially with Carey in there. But Carey will be the keeper, I think. As much as I'd love to say Wade, I really would. But there's no doubt that Carey's going to be keeping for Australia this ODI series. I've gone for Stoinis purely based on his IPL. I've said before Stoinis can't bat six for Australia. However, I thought that was true for D20s as well, and he's actually shown under whether it was punting, who knows what it was. He's not only is he scoring runs fast, but he's getting wickets as well recently. He's getting big wickets in big games. So I think you got to have Stoinis in there, and I have gone for Glenn Maxwell for the other spot. I know it's not really consistent picking one guy on IPL, and then Maxwell has had pretty much the worst IPL out of any of the, let's even say any of the international players. It's just been terrible, but you probably got to have him in your Australian white ball sides, given in the last one day we played, he scored a century, he was so good. So I think that's got to be my 5, 6, and 7, and the order just depends on how the innings is going.
Yep. Very expected. I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'll just say a few things, I guess. In England, it was probably between Stoinis and Mitch Marsh, but then because Smith had that injury, Stoinis got that role up the top. But now I think that they look past Marsh, right? So him or Green. I don't think Green is really in contention. I think he's just there to get around the boys for the tests. And Maxwell,
like he's really not there for ODIs at all. It's only really for tests, if you think about it.
So he did get a few runs, I think, last year, Will, in the one-day stuff.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be enough to shift any of the
Green. In the Marsh Cup. Yeah.
Surely, players like Darcy Short, Wade will be ahead of Cameron Green.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's going to play. But you say he's only there for the tests, but this is a separate white ball squad, that he's been included in. So,
well, maybe they see him one day as like the guy who can play everything for them, and
yeah, true.
Ready.
And the problem is we didn't have a domestic one-day season, if you recall, which has been a big problem in selecting this squad.
Yeah, for sure. Are they even going to have it?
It seems unlikely at this point. I mean, there'll be lots of Shield in February and March, maybe. And I mean, Cameron Green didn't have the best Marsh Cup. Looking back at the rankings, he pretty much only won one good game. He hasn't shown much in one-day formats. Certainly not as enough as someone like Wade, but as good as Wade's, his rapid pace is, I don't see him being considered for the all-rounder option.
Yeah. I'm just going to touch on Maxwell. I think having him at 7 is like a luxury because you bank your top 6 to make runs, and then Maxwell's just there is to finish it off or just add a bit extra. Same with his bowling. But I think his bowling's actually improved in the IPL
I
and
mean, at
stuff.
the moment, I wouldn't really consider Carey as an out-and-out batter yet, like based on recent form. So Maxwell and Carey make up the one batting spot. You'd say, arguably.
But if Carey's not an out-and-out batter, like,
On recent form, you can't argue that he deserves to be in the team on his batting alone.
Agreed. I mean, what do you think of this as a possible variation to the team? Getting rid of Carey for Wade and then playing Agar at 7, but then having 6 really good batsmen as opposed to having Carey in there. And then playing one of Sonos or Maxwell as the number 6 with Wade at 5, Agar 7.
well, the thing is, they do that in Asia, so there's no reason why they couldn't do that in
Like
Australia.
similar thing in T20s as well.
And in T20s, yeah.
I don't know. Does anyone have objections to Wade batting at 7? Or potentially just moving Wade up and then moving the other two down?
Then you have
That's
to
what I'm saying. I mean, you see, you just mean straight up now, dropping Carey for Wade.
Yeah, and just changing the batting order.
I'd prefer it. I just don't think it's going to happen. But I guess yes, I'd like that.
They could trust Labuschagne's bowling more as well. Like that's
Nah.
yes.
Maxwell's a much better option than Labuschagne.
So you can get wickets in test matches eventually, but like economy-wise, I don't think you'd trust.
If he bowls one or two short balls and over, and he's gonna get whacked.
Yeah,
kind of like a old Steve Smith,
like an Anthony Maros.
Hey.
But I mean, like he's fair enough in test matches because the loose ball doesn't matter. But in one day, you need your spinners to be tying down an end really. And he's not good enough to do that yet. Same with Smith. Maxwell is probably a better option, but even he, I don't know how many overs we'll get from Maxwell, but we'll see.
Arguably Stoinis can bowl a large portion of overs by himself. The way he's bowling right now.
Yeah, agreed.
So
there's also Philippi. He's also, I think, training with the guys as well.
Is that right?
Yeah, I still think he's a while off.
You'd surely prefer Wade over Philippi for one day is.
Yeah.
Like Philippi's usually an opener in this day. I mean, I suppose Wade sort of usually is around the top 2, but I feel Wade could be a good number 5. He could fit that spot well, and obviously Maxwell could, and whoever could float above him. But I would love to see Wade get a game at some point. I feel if he did, it wouldn't be Carey getting dropped to be someone else, unless Carey has a really bad first 2 games or something. But I feel he deserves a go.
What was Wade's last one-day game? Has he played since his comeback?
I know Darcy was playing recently. I don't know about Wade.
He may have played 1 or 2.
I think he did play.
He hasn't. No, he hasn't played. He last played in 2017.
Oh, must have been the T20s then.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But he plays fantastically for Tasmania. I've seen it firsthand. He's a great List A batsman.
Yeah, mate. Certainly is an option. But I think even Carey said himself he's not 100% sure if he's gonna start a lot, like every time.
Yeah, right.
But I reckon they probably will back Carey the whole series, both series probably.
Yeah, I mean, if he stuffs up the first 2 games, the problem is there's a chance he won't even get to bat that much, so it'd be hard for him to stuff it up. But yeah, maybe we'll see Wade.
All right, into the bowling. So I think they should go for the 4 best bowlers, and that's Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, Zampa.
Yep.
Some people have question marks about Hazelwood, but you could argue he's the most consistent out of the 3.
Yep, definitely.
I don't really. Yeah.
Nothing else.
In my eyes, that's the most obvious choice.
Yeah.
I'll just check out who else there's. They added Andrew Ty. I don't know why.
Well, Ty wasn't meant to be there, to be fair. He was just sort of available.
And also there's Abbott, I think. Yeah.
Well, Sam's is there, right?
And Sam's, yeah.
Yeah, I think Abbott and Sam's, I wouldn't mind. especially Abbott. I think Abbott's certainly ahead of Sam's, although Sam's has been playing pretty well domestically, but based on his IPL, it'll probably be harder for him to get a spot. And Abbott's batting so well. Like, could Abbott at some point bat 7 in 1 day as for Australia? Why not?
Maybe. I think he does do that for New South Wales sometimes.
Yep.
Him and Sam's like very similar on that batting style. Like, as in like they're not consistent, but on their day they can bat.
But I would say Abbott is getting more consistent. Like, based on how he's batting in Shield, like, he's getting really good. And Sam's was only ever a really good option for the Australian teams because of how well he was batting. If Abbott can offer that, he's always a much better replacement than Sam's.
Would they
It's like-
play Abbott, Stoinis, and then play 2 spinners? That's like the only way I can see that happening.
I mean, if Abbott was good enough to bat 7, that's what I'm saying. And then if Stoinis or Maxwell was out of form, you could drop one and then just play. You could even play Wade or Carey at 6 with the other one at 5. And Abbott as a decent number 7.
I was gonna throw this out there. Sometimes Sam's gives like James Faulkner vibe, left arm bowler, and like can slog a little bit with the bat. Probably not as good at batting.
Yeah, I don't know if that comparison can be made just yet. Just give it.
But
season
Faulkner
or 2.
can actually get good batsmen out.
When he bangs for the Thunder, you'll know.
I mean, Faulkner
Better in the Big Bash
had
anyway.
it way better international than Big Bash. So.
And Sam's just gets tailender out after tailender. Like, Faulkner bowls can bowl well in the power play. He actually get big wickets. Like, sure, he was the finisher for Australia, but recently Faulkner's just been better. Changed my mind.
Yeah, and then
Well, I don't know. Isn't Sam's role to finish off the innings? And if he's not going to do that, then
I mean, it's not even that economical at the death though. He just gets wickets. Like,
yeah,
and I mean, he just farms his stats. He gets really good stats, and it's like, wow, he's the top wicket taker. Maybe we should put him player of the Big Bash. No, actually, he hasn't. He's barely even in the team of the tournament. But anyway.
Well, there's also Enriquez in the team.
Yeah, he's around.
But he's not going to be a bowl. He's not really an all-rounder anymore. He doesn't really bowl.
I guess you could say, but he could fill in though. In the same, he's that same category as Maxwell and Stoinis.
That's fair, but like
The top 4 set. They're like the top 4 really, unless one of them has like a tremendous run of bad form. None of them are really getting replaced.
Yeah, so I think those 11 guys are much better than, not or like overall as a team, they're much better than what was being discussed, and it worked by winning a series in England. So they'll probably start off with that.
I will say, here's a question to mix it up a bit. Say before the first game, Warner gets injured, or I mean, Warner's also talked about. He's saying he's not going to play 1 day as next year, potentially to spend more time at home.
Was it at T20s?
He said he might not be. He might only focus on tests and T20s next year. That's what he said.
He's getting older as well, anyway. Like they're going to start thinking about that.
He's spent 3 months straight away from his family. A very young family. So, how do you change the Australian 1 day team if Warner isn't in there?
Like in the short term or the long term?
We'll say he gets injured before game 1. What would you do to the Australian team?
Well, I had 2 thoughts. First, like based on the squad, you'd probably have to move up either Carey or you go Wade or.
I was thinking Stoinis, but that's just me.
And then I just had a funny thought. Who was the other best opener in the Marsh Cup?
Oh, you mean Ben McDermott?
Usman Khawaja.
Or Khawaja. I mean, why would you say the Marsh Cup? But yes, Khawaja would probably be the replacement, I think. Because like
Honestly,
such a good pairing.
He's a better 1 day player than he is Test, probably.
Just saying that Ben McDermott. What a
I think
replacement that'd be.
McDermott's probably in their eye as well. Like he has played more recently in white ball cricket as well.
Yeah. See if he can keep playing well in 1 day format so he can keep getting caught up to the T20.
I wouldn't mind McDermott at all. I think I actually like him. He's pretty good.
I love McDermott. Yep. And he can adapt. He's a versatile player. But I mean, Wade's open Tasmania this day, so I think Wade would be the first one. I think at the moment it would just be a straight swap. Wade in for Warner. Long term, maybe they'll look at Khawaja. Maybe they'll look at someone else.
Khawaja's old though, isn't he? Aren't Khawaja and Warner like the same age?
Yeah. Yeah, like I feel Kawaja would be the best option for a year or two, but I feel they'd probably look ahead to like next World Cup and stuff, and Kawaja probably wouldn't get considered, which is a shame.
Well, I
Oh,
guess
Maxi. Oh,
that could be
Maxi.
a way to move on. Speaking of big openers missing out, Rohit Sharma obviously is not playing in the series. So who do you think will be that other guy to open for India? I think it's between two, but I think it's obvious.
I'm gonna say Mayank Agarwal
Yeah.
with Shikhar Dhawan as the opening pair. There's obviously someone else you could consider there, but I think they'll keep the middle order like it is, and they'll just sub Agarwal in there.
Yep, agreed.
The other one is probably Shubman Gill, but I think it's still early for him, and I still think he'd be better off at 3 or 4 eventually.
But what I was saying is, what about Rahul opening?
Oh yeah, of course as well.
But then you go back to them having the
I
middle
don't
order
trust
problems
Sanju Samson.
all over again.
I don't trust Sanju Samson to to move into the middle. Oh, I guess they could
What
go
about Monday?
Hyundai. Actually, I like Rahul as a finisher though right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to change that, I reckon.
They have a wealth of options.
It's true.
Shaw actually had better. Shaw and Agoa both only played 3 1 days. Shaw had better stats, but I guess they went off IPL form.
But yeah, Shaw's not even in the squad, is he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not in the 1 day squad. Yeah, and 3 and 4 is also like Australia, very strong. Kohli and Shreyas Iyer. I think it's Iyer's first time playing in Australia, but I think he's showing good signs in New Zealand and okay in the IPL.
Yep.
5 we were saying is that Rahul. Would they consider Samson maybe?
Oh.
Like, why would you Rahul's mean? Like, suddenly, if Samson came in, it wouldn't be for Rahul. He's this is the vice
Rahul's
captain.
arguably the best player in the team right now.
Yeah, it's not even that arguable. The best batsman in the team right now for sure, on form.
Yeah, I think that top 5 are probably easiest to pick in the Indian team right now.
Yeah.
6. So this is interesting. I think when he's can bowl, Hardik Pandya is for sure your number 6, right?
Yep.
But let's say he doesn't bowl. Are you tempted to say Pandey instead? Just because you're only going to have 5 bowlers and then 6 batsmen.
Probably not. Like you still
As
probably
an
want,
out-and-out
like,
batter, you want Pandey, surely. Because he can bat long and can hit.
but like,
That's what they do in
let's
New
say a
Zealand.
bowler gets injured, who is going to bowl those other overs though? Like, Pandya's the only one that can.
Yeah, I think Pandya, half fit, could still bowl better than anyone else.
Yeah, like seriously, who would bowl Kohli? Probably, which would be hilarious. I have to
I
say.
think Iyer has bowled a couple of overs, but yeah, he's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really pick a team expecting a player to get injured? Or
I mean, you'd have some sort of
precaution.
backup.
Kohli
Like,
does like picking just the 5 specialist bowlers.
Yeah.
easy for Australia though when you got players like Labuschagne and Smith. But like, if there's a disaster, they
Even
could.
Finch and Warner.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, remember Finch bowling Big Bash, then he bowls himself in the final over and gets smacked. It's hilarious.
Finch bowled in the Test series as well, like last time India were here.
When we've got Australian Test team as Wade as a backup bowler, so that's all you really need. It's just the best all-rounder Australia's ever seen.
It's weird. It seems like all Australian batters just have a cheeky bowler like whenever, but Indian batsmen don't do that. Like,
Yeah, true.
yeah, I reckon they'll go Pandya, and I think he is the better option.
Did he bowl in the IPL? I can't
He
remember.
didn't bowl a single over, but I think he can. They just opted not to use him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. Like, why is it that India can come up with the top 6 when none of them bowl, and Australia can have all of them bowl? Do you think that's something about how Australians are trained as kids, or like how they do net sessions in
I think it's just nets.
teams? You think?
I
I
don't
think it's
know.
just the nets,
I
honestly.
think maybe Indian batsmen they want to be the best batsmen. Just focus on their bat.
Specialized? Yeah.
Maybe it's so it's obviously also very competitive here. I don't know, just the way it's happened. But the funny thing is, when Kohli started off, he wanted to be an all-rounder. He even called himself a fast bowler in the Under-19 World Cup. He's
To
certainly
be fair
dropped.
to him, he probably did bowl a bit quicker.
Rohit Sharma's got an IPL hat trick, but he's not there anyway. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I think it also connects to India's problem with having pace all-rounders. Like other than Pandya, who was there, at least
Yep.
Australia might not have like a clear best, but at least they have a lot of options.
Yep. Starting with Cameron Green coming good. Like he could be huge for Australia over the next 10 years.
I mean, if you've got a spinning all rounder who's decent, it doesn't matter as much. It doesn't matter too much because you
India,
can just play 3 out and out quicks.
yeah. But the funny
And at the
thing,
moment,
I've always thought
you'd
that
argue
surely
that
India.
India's quicks are better than their spinners.
Also, surely India, like batsmen, they just bowl a little bit of spin on the side, like surely, and like there's no one who actually is handy at doing that.
Yeah. That's an interesting question. I wonder it's something about how maybe Indian kids are taught more to specialize one or the other as they grow up. Because you just don't see that many Indian all-rounders in
Yeah.
general.
I think
Just compared to like
the last
everyone.
guy who could probably bat really well and bowl okay was probably Tendulkar, I guess. Since then, no one else, no batsman has bowled a lot.
Yeah, I suppose. It's fair.
Then we move into best all-rounder, I'd say, on both teams. Jadeja, number 7.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know who's competing with, because Sundar's not in this team, so
Yep. Well, Kuldeep Yadav is the other spinner.
I don't think the tail's already long enough. I have to have Jadeja.
Yeah.
And I think 3 of the 4 remaining players pick themselves, so Shami, Bumrah, and Chahal.
Yep.
They rotate Kuldeep and Chahal, but I think Chahal's in much better form. And
Definitely. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Chahal got 6 wickets last time he played in Australia. In the
Yeah, he was
one-day
good
game.
when I remember. Yeah.
And then my third seamer is Navdeep Saini.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I really like him. He's quick, very quick, and he can bat a little bit. In New Zealand, he got a 50. So yeah, do you guys have anyone else you'd consider?
Yeah, because he could easily be, if he gets absolutely whacked, he can easily be replaced by Hardik. So it's a good option.
I think it's a 50-50 here. Like there's 2 people coming in this spot. I have gone for Shardul Thakur. I just think in New Zealand, Saini did nothing bowling wise. Thakur was at least getting some wickets, even if he was still getting whacked a
He
bit.
gets smashed though, like
He did get smashed, but as Ryan said, if you've got Hardik there, I think Thakur can bowl well early in the innings and get wickets. Probably the same with Saini, but I think
I don't know, because in Australia, it doesn't really swing after
it's kind of
the
funny. This
first
is
2
the same
overs, and you need out and out pace.
yeah.
Remember 2 years ago they had to use Siraj and Khalil Ahmed, and they both got smashed.
Yeah.
Obviously missing with Nashra.
I don't know that much about if there's any Lister Indian comp and how these 2 have gone, but they certainly seem to be in not the best form in the IPL. But Saini in particular wasn't that impressive, I thought. Thakur's just sort of been there. But I would go for Thakur. I think he's been slightly better for India recently and slightly better in the IPL, so he'd be my pick.
Yeah, touch and go really.
Yep, they'll probably both play at least one game.
They have named a lot of like Nets bowlers as well, like Tyagi, Nagakoti, Porel.
Yeah, Natarajan's there as well.
They have a lot of options, but like you said, I don't actually know who is the one who's excelling the most.
They probably all play a game, like Thakur and Saini, and then whoever plays well out of those 2, whoever plays better will play the last game.
Natarajan play one day as by any chance?
He's not in the team, but I don't see any reason why they can't just put his name down.
Yeah, he's there in the Nets too. Yeah.
And then there's also Umesh Yadav and Siraj who are only in the test squad. I guess they could theoretically be added as well.
Do you see any chance that Kuldeep will play?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Wait.
they like to rotate Chahal and Kuldeep.
I don't see any chance that he should. I'd certainly see a chance that he might.
And I still think the best Indian team before the World Cup was when Pandya was 7 and they played both.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to.
But that's because you could get over some Kedar Jadhav.
Yeah, that's long gone.
Yeah, that's very long gone. I think his international career is done.
Easily done, yeah.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
Cool. Yep.
Right, so this is a new thing I was talking about. I called it stat attack, but
Whoa,
we're just gonna go through some random stats that we think are pretty interesting and that relate to this series.
Yeah.
Start off with Will.
Yeah, it's like I come up with a few just things that can create talking points. One thing I found interestingly, so there's going to be one game in Canberra, right? One day in Manuka Oval. Australia played 4 games in Canberra. There's only been 10 one days. They've ever played 4 games. We averaged 346 in Canberra. We've never failed to hit 300. We've also never failed to have an opener score a century, which I think is quite interesting. India have also never won at Manuka. Played 2 games. But Australia just seemed to play very well at that ground generally.
This thing that Canberra, that game reminds you of one of the saddest games from an Indian point of view, when Darwin and Kohli were cruising, chasing 350, and then they lost
yeah.
What year was that?
It was 2016 when they lost 4-1. But that game,
Oh yeah.
they came back. Kane Richardson got like 5 wickets or something.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
And I was just in shock. Like, they just collapsed. Like, to be
Yeah.
fair, the middle order was weak players, but still, you expect like Dhoni or someone to just get it done. And I think they need like 70 off 70, and they
Yeah, that's
9 wickets in hand, and they lost.
sounds about right.
Australia just have an insane record there. With like an opener has always gone on to score a century every game we've played there.
Are the boundaries smaller there?
I think they're quite small, but it just seems to be a very high scoring one day game.
I'm
If
pretty
it ends
sure
up being a decider, it'll certainly be a high scoring game, I think.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be
interesting.
more easily contested between bat and ball because both
If that's the
bowling sides
decider,
are
that
much
could be
stronger
great.
now
Imagine
than back in the
chasing
day.
360 in the decider and like goes down to the wire, something like that.
Yeah, I think that could easily happen. But yeah, moving on. So yeah, it'll certainly be a high scoring series, I think, generally. I'm gonna move on to we go to the key paces on both teams. For me, that's Pat Cummins and Jasprit Bumrah. I think those are generally seen as the best bowler on both teams usually.
Some people say Stark.
You could say Stark.
I say Stark.
But I mean, I think Cummins is very good. He's certainly seen as a sort of a star of Australian cricket. They've both been in terrible form. In one day as in particular. Cummins averaging 60.5. I worked out from his last 4 one days. Just hasn't
like 100, right?
Last time we played India in that 3-match series, he only got 2 wickets. He averaged 80. He's been struggling a lot for Australia in one day as recently. His IPL got okay by the end, but it wasn't the IPL everyone was hoping he'd have. So yeah, can Pat Cummins come back this one day series?
How did he go in England? I think he got smashed a little bit, right?
Yeah, he again, like that was mostly what his average is from. He just didn't do too much in England.
Well, I was actually looking before. Cummins, Hazelwood, and Stark have actually barely played India at home.
Right.
Stark's last one was the World Cup semi-final. Hazelwood was like 2016, that series. He played 1 game. And Cummins was the Chai series in like 2015. So they barely play India. So it could be interesting to see how they go. But I think it's with them, it's just a team effort. Like wouldn't really care much individually how they go, as long as the 3 of them combine well to restrict the scores.
But when Australia do lose, usually
And they lose because they get
Cummins hasn't done much, or Stark hasn't done much. But yeah, and then Bumrah 1 wicket across 6 one days in 2020. Sis hasn't been performing much. Why do we think that is? And can he pull it back? Do you think?
His economy rate's decent, right? He hasn't been
Yeah,
whacked.
it's been economical, but he's just not getting any wickets, and they do sort of rely on him to get some wickets.
I think maybe. Well, they did lose the one-day series 3-0 against New Zealand, right? And the one that Australia won 2-1. I think recently they looked Bumrah more as to contain because since the other guys might get smashed, they try and use him to just help keep it back rather than actually him attacking more like the way he used to.
Didn't India win it 2-1, by the way?
Yeah, India won 2-1, but they lost New Zealand 3-0. But because of the way he bowled in IPL, I think that'd give him a lot of confidence. And the thing is,
Yeah.
it's been so long, everyone would feel like they're out of form a little bit, right? Everyone would feel like it's almost like a level
Yeah,
playing
just
field.
judging by how Australia bat and judging his record against players like Maxwell and Stoinis and the hitters that we have near the end, like I don't see how he's not going to perform well.
Yeah.
You could argue Boomer's a little bit like start commentators would. When India lose, he might get smacked a bit. Notable example, Champions Trophy final. But I think, yeah, he recovers his stats for the year in the series.
Do you think it'd be too far to say that this series will be decided by which three pacers perform better?
Not far at all, because their batting is very good on each side, so whoever bowls better will win.
Yep. Well, okay, moving on. My last stat. It's about King Kohli. It's not that good. I've always said so, but anyway, King Kohli. He's gone 22 international innings without a century, which is pretty much the most he's ever done, except for in 2014. He's also scored 6 sub-20 scores. His last 6 scores for India have all been less than 20. That was against New Zealand mostly. Why is that, do you think? What's been happening with Kohli?
Well, the first thing I would say, maybe he's tired. Like they played a lot of international cricket in a row.
Yep.
Teams are maybe figuring him out. Leg spin gets him out a lot, aka Zampa. Sometimes outside off on the pads gets him out. He just
Every form of dismissal gets him
the
out.
thing is he just looks like even when he's really good in one days, you still feel like you can get him out early. Like I feel it's different to Smith, as in like Smith, sometimes you don't feel like you have a chance, but Kohli, if you attack at the start, you could get him.
Yeah,
Because Kohli's so
I
offensive,
don't know.
like he's always attacking from the word go.
It's just not his year. I don't know.
yeah, he really just hasn't been that impressive as of late. Like if he wasn't the captain, he probably wouldn't be getting into the Indian side. Like if he was just a random player with those stats, it's no way.
True. Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like I think this series will be how Kohli goes is going to be a huge decider in how it goes.
Yeah, obviously carrying the burden of Rohit Sharma not being there as well.
And there's still questions over how good Shreyas Iyer is going to be, and it's the same sort of thing with Smith and Marnus, I think. And in some cases, Australia does, even depending on Smith more, considering our middle order can be quite weak, and India have got Rahul who's been playing really well. But Australia also probably have arguably better openers, so I don't know. Either way,
What I would say is
Kohli would
the
love
most
to
of
be.
Kohli is that everyone's rusty in a way, so he'll probably back himself to come out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's my stats done. What have you got?
Yeah, I'll start off with Kohli because when it comes to stats, there's a lot to say about him. So he's 133 runs away from scoring 12,000 one-day runs. And he's done it so far in 239 innings, and the fastest is Sachin with 300. So you'd think he'd beat that.
Well, what do you reckon? Do you think he can score 140 runs at his next 61 one-day innings?
You'd hope.
Yeah. I don't know. He's pretty bad. Pretty average above 2.
The next one is 90 runs means he'll score 2,000 runs against Australia, which is pretty good as well. I think Rohit Sharma's already done that. But then the other side of that, despite that record in Australia against Australia, after 5 innings, he averages 9 at the SCG. It's actually his worst ground anywhere in the world.
Get Kane for Friday, boys.
like-
2/3 of the series.
The
We
stats
all remember
suggest-
Jai Richardson.
Continue. Yeah, also the New Zealand tour, 218 runs in 11 innings, the worst of his career.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Did you get a score above 50 at all?
No, he got 45 in the first 2020. I think it's 2021 in there. The thing with Kohli, though, his success lately has been measured on if the team wins, and he probably won't even care if he gets low scores and the team wins. So,
Yeah, you definitely won't. But at the end of the day, the teams still need him to perform.
yeah.
And so yeah, all the stats sort of suggest that Kohli's gonna be really bad at the SCG those first 2 games. I wonder how he's actually gonna play.
Yeah, one of those games obviously being the World Cup semi-final. By contrast, Smith, India are his favorite opponent, not including Ireland. He's only played them twice. But against India, his averages 60, which is a big improvement on his whole career average. And I just have some other random stuff. Stoinis is still looking to score his first 50-plus score in a match-winning effort for Australia. So all 7 of his 50-plus scores Australia have lost.
Yeah, famously in Eden Park.
Famously
Yeah.
in New Zealand. I think it's also because a few of them have to rebuild when the team's already been gone a little bit. If Shami gets 6 wickets in this series, he'll be the fastest Indian to 150 one-day wickets with 80 matches. The next quickest is Ajit Agarkar with 97. So you'd think he'd smash that. And he'd be the third fastest ever. Stark's number 1 with 77 games. And Shami's right now on 77.
The thing is, there's just so many more one-dayers now, and they get so much more practice with the format than people used to. So I don't. The things about being first to these milestones, I don't think is that
You
reliable.
say that, but I was looking at it. Second is Mushtaque Mushtaq from Pakistan.
India have never had that many good paces.
He did it in 2 years, 150 wickets. Stark did it in 9.
Wow.
And that was in the 90s. I guess because they didn't play 2020s back then. So there's more one days. And then the last one, this is just random. The last Indian that wasn't Dhoni that kept in a one-dayer in Australia was 2004.
Who
So
was it?
let you guess.
No idea.
It was actually another Rahul Dravid.
Rahul Dravid kept. I didn't even know he kept.
He was actually kind of similar to Rahul. They didn't have a good keeper. They just pushed him down middle order, let him keep.
Oh yeah, wasn't it back in the day where Laxman used to bat 3 and Dravid used to bat 5?
Yeah. And then they also had Parthiv Patel back then. It was weird to think
He's
that
still
he was
around.
that long.
Hard to tell.
Yeah. He debuted when he was so young. And then Dhoni last 4 or 5, whatever tours of Australia it's been.
Yeah. Interesting question about Kohli. So when he had the worst series of his life against New Zealand, his wife had a child with him. Do you think that's going to motivate him to play worse against Australia?
What do you mean?
What's that question mean?
Just a question.
Are you saying because he can't be with his wife? No.
Well, I don't know. Do you think there's any correlation to Kohli playing badly and having children?
Some people say since Kohli's got married, it's made him worse.
Yeah, I think that's likely. Yeah.
He's not as much of a angry guy in the field. Now there's stories about him being a nice vegan to Zampa. Maybe he's gone soft.
Do you think Kohli's a simp, Arjun? Do you think this is the key here?
Well, I think Kane Richardson's the biggest simp. Pull out of the IPL, pull out of the one-day series.
Possible. I wonder if Stoinis has also played worse since his relationship with Zampa started. I think there's actually some interesting points we could discuss here.
When were they not in a relationship?
Good question.
Yeah, these are some. We need some more statistical analysis, I reckon, to
I know. Yeah.
get the facts. Right, Ryan, that can be up to you because you haven't shared.
Surely that would have arisen through the stars because Stoinis is from WA and Zampa's from Victoria.
Yeah.
I guess Stoinis must have moved to Victoria like
He's been playing there for a while.
Yeah.
I suppose not, actually. Yeah, no, he played WA. He still plays Shield in WA, I suppose. So.
Isn't Zampa from South Australia now? My role.
I mean, yeah, he played Shield in South Australia. I think he is from South Australia,
New
right?
South Wales, Sampa.
Yeah, he's at New South Wales now.
But originally as well. Like I think he's from Wollongong, I
Yeah.
believe.
But I'd love to see a list of averages of players before and after they got married. I think that could really tell us a lot about how cricketers could improve.
I reckon Michael Clark certainly had marriage dramas.
Mm. Yeah.
Anyway,
Probably like someone like Hussey would be the opposite. He probably married before his career started.
What about Warner? How long has he been married for?
Quite a while, I think.
Well, his kids are what, like 3 and 4 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
So at least,
yeah.
well, you'd hope that amount of time.
Anyway, I feel we should
hope
come back to the topic.
making a political statement here.
Ooh.
So
yeah. These are just the topics you don't get on other podcasts.
You don't get this. You don't get this point of view.
Yeah. Luckily, no one would actually be watching by this point in the video, so it doesn't matter. But anyway.
This is the most amount of rambling we've done in the video.
A couple of players you think, okay, one that you think would not necessarily be the best, but exceed expectations, and one that would perform well below such expectations. And does Kohli even fit in either? Because are there expectations or not?
Yes, there are expectations of Virat Kohli.
I'm going to say is this for both teams or just overall?
I was going to say one for the series, but you can do both if you want.
Both teams. I'll say exceeding expectations. I'm going to say for India, I'm going to say Shreyas Iyer. I think he's going to have a really solid season after Kohli keeps getting out early. I think Iyer's going to possibly win them a game, score a big century, and just be solid. And I think exceeding expectations for Australia. I'm going to say Glenn Maxwell. Because I don't know what people would expect of Glenn Maxwell this series, but it's never that much. No matter how good he's been playing for Australia, he's been playing so badly. I think he's going to have a really good series for Australia. I think he'll actually get some wickets as well. And I think people are, the Australian public will pretend they like Maxwell until he totally bombs out in the T20 series.
See, there's no chance he's going to have a good one day and good 2020.
No, he's gonna be man of the series for one, and he's gonna average 2 in the other one.
Probably. Ryan,
Yeah, I'd say.
Well, who's your underwhelming? Oh, you're gonna do that after, all right? Come on.
Yeah, Ryan, you go.
Yeah, so players exceeding expectations. So from India, I honestly think I said this about the IPL, like at the start of the IPL before the game started, that Shikhar Dhawan was going to pop off, and I reckon he's going to smash it.
He does love performing.
I mean, there are expectations on him to score runs, but I feel like he's going to score maybe 2 centuries out of the 3 games, which is a big call.
It is.
I wouldn't be surprised, but then I wouldn't be surprised if he nicks off as well. So
yeah, and then from Australia, I think I don't know if there's expectations on Stoinis, but I think just given off coming from the IPL, I think he's going to bang.
I think there's enough expectation by the fact that they'll keep picking him.
Yeah, but I still think Stoinis. I think the standard thing for Stoinis is what, to score like a runnable 30 and then bowl like 5 overs and concede 30 runs, right?
You're going to make the big call, right? Is Stoinis going to get a 50 in a game that Australia wins?
Yeah, he's going to average above 50 for the series. And his strike rate's going to be decent, so 120 or 130.
I could certainly see when we're chasing like 370 in Canberra, I can see Stoinis hitting a really quick, like 60 ball 100, and then we still lose the chase. I think that could definitely happen.
Yeah. When Bumrah finally decides to show form again.
Yeah, after the top order collapses, there'll be an amazing partnership where Stoinis hits like 120 off 70 and Carey will help with like a 35 not out and then fail to bat with the tail.
Yeah, I could see anything that anyone says, to be honest. Like India and Australia, you never know.
Anything could happen.
Who
I'll
you
go
going
mine
for?
too. I don't. I'll start with India because I think it's easier. I'm gonna say Mohammad Shami. I think he is very good. But even however good he is, people look more at Bumrah and maybe Chahal or someone. I think he'll be their best bowler. Australia, I'm gonna say Josh Hazelwood. I think he's gonna prove that he is the most consistent out of the three in this series. Out of the three pace bowlers, that 3-star pace bowlers, he'll prove that he's got the best attributes.
I thought about saying Hazel, but I'm just worried he's not going to play the whole series, which I think will make that harder.
True.
I do like the pick. And I also like that pick of Darwin. I feel Darwin just hasn't, despite having a great IPL list, no one's really been talking about Darwin. Everyone's talking about all the young players and about Rahul. I feel Darwin's still a very, very good one-day batsman. Well, batsman in all formats, but yeah.
Just
I feel
This
like the
whole-
expectations on majority of players is really high.
Yeah.
Like I just went through all the Australian names and like we expect them to score hundreds every game.
I'm really interested to see how Labuschagne going to play this series. He's been okay in one days, but he's never really made that big century. Like he's just good at getting a solid 50, but then he sort of gets out at that point.
I think he's been playing support roles. So
yeah, but it's at one point this series he's probably going to need to make a big score. And like in the past playing Australia, he hasn't been able to do that in the one day side. But like in Test matches he doesn't get out, but and he actually can score an okay strike rate in Test matches too. But in one day I feel he just like when he gets above 50, he starts to think he has to accelerate a bit, and then I think just gets out easily.
I was going to say Labuschagne, but I thought like I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't do that well.
Yeah.
Like maybe like 20s, not like 50 that he was
like
getting.
if he scores a runnable 40 every game, is that bad?
Okay, but like
Well, depends. If the pass score between these two is like 330, then you could say maybe not.
But like you look at the players we've had a number 4 in the past that we don't think are as good as him, like the Sean Mars and Hanscom, they could always score that runnable 30 or 40, but every now and again they would get that big century and they'd win a game for you.
Like Hanscom, yeah.
Yeah, can Labuschagne do that for us? I think in the future certainly yes. It's just going to be
we haven't seen any evidence that Labuschagne can really go big. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'd love to see if he could score that big 120 one game. I think in the future he'll suddenly be able to. It's just can he now?
I was just going to say, we were talking about it before. Darwin's last 3 innings against Australia, 96, 74, 117.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Should we go to underwhelming then?
Sure.
You want to start off, Arjun? You seem keen.
Okay.
Sure.
Australia, this could be a big call. I'm going to say David Warner. He seems, one days he's done well, obviously. Him and Finch, very good against India at times. But I just have a feeling that it's not going to be his greatest series and might get out to the likes of Shami early on. Australia, it's very tough.
You've already done Australia.
Did I?
You just said David Warner.
Sorry, no, India, man. Sorry, India. I don't know why I said that. India, I don't know actually. I guess I'll go Mike Agarwal, even though there might not be a lot of expectations. But some people might just think, oh, no problem, Rohit's not there, Agarwal's here. But I think you might clearly see the gap in class, and he might not be able to do as well as the team. So those are my 2.
Okay. I can go. Australia, I think there's a few options here. I've thought about going Finch. I feel Finch is going to get 2 low scores on one big one though. So I don't know about putting this underwhelming. I'm actually going to say Stoinis. Because people are starting to hope that Stoinis might be good again after that IPL. I've got a feeling it might be same old Stoinis. I don't know. Maybe he
I
will
would
be.
not be surprised because he does it in the Big Bash, right? He always does a great Big Bash, and then
Are we
Yeah,
saying like below expectations though, or
I mean,
meeting
I
expectations?
wouldn't say the expectations for Stoinis are that high right now, to be honest.
so then he'd have to play pretty badly to be well below, probably.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what
sorry, I don't
I'm
think
saying.
we're that low right now, is what I meant to say. I think after the IPL, everyone's thinking
Oh,
Stoinis
okay.
could be our good number 6 again. I think he's going to struggle. I think especially bowling wise, there might be times where we're going to really wish we could bowl someone else. Yeah, one thing I was going to add with Australia, I think Smith is going to have a really good series. This is the kind of series where Smith hasn't done that much for a while. This is the kind of series where he's just going to go full out.
Well, he's
Uh,
so good in January.
yeah, I wouldn't put him as saying he's going to be above that, the most above expectations. I do think it'll be Maxwell, but I can see Smith just killing it this series. But for India, biggest disappointment. I'm not going to say Hardik Pandya, because he's not got very high expectations at the moment. I'm actually going to say they're actually going to go with one of their 2 best players from the IPL. I think I'm going to say either Rahul or Chahal. I think they're both going to have. They're in such good form, and I think they're going to have underwhelming series.
True. I
I'm
mean,
going to go with Chahal because I think Rahul. I think the top 4 will score a lot of runs, so I think Rahul won't have that much pressure on him to score. I'm going to say Chahal is not going to have the best of one-day series, and I think pressure's going to be on Jadeja to make up from the other end. I think there's actually a chance Australia might look to target Chahal. So we could hit someone like Chahal out of the attack would help us so much. And that's how Australia usually play against India. We'll certainly target the third pacer. But I think if we can get one of the spinners out of action for a while, that's certainly going to be Australia's game plan, I think.
Yeah, so I've gone the completely opposite way, and I honestly think Warner and Finch are going to have, out of 2 or 3 games, they're going to bat for 25 plus overs in each of those. So you're going to have 150 on the board and a wicket down. In that case, I don't think Smith's going to have a great series just based on that fact. I think he's going to do okay, but maybe he's going to score 30 or 40 and then get out. So in that case, I see him not doing that great.
all right.
But that's, yeah. I think in the grand scheme of things, if you're scoring, if the team's going to score 350 and you're getting a 40 ball 30, then it's not great, is it? So that's how I see him playing. I think he's going to get starts, but he's not going to convert.
How come we're just assuming it's going to be so high scoring? Like, you don't even.
I was thinking Canberra would be. I don't know. I mean, it's just there's such amazing batting lineups, and especially with India with
Sometimes
order. Like,
I think there'll be a game each or innings each where the middlers will be very tested for both teams.
I mean, that's really, we don't know. I think, yeah, the average score of the series will probably be like 290 or 280. It's going to be high.
And I think Australia are going to be rotating their paces around a bit as well, which isn't going to help. We'd love Stark and Cummins for all 3 games, and I think both of them will miss a game at times, and so will Hazelwood. I think we'll see Abbott having a few games.
I think only out of the 6 limited overs games, they'll be, won't play 5 or 6.
Yeah, so from India, Jadeja would play all 3 games, right? I don't think he's going to do great.
Yeah, I actually thought about saying him.
Because there's an expectation for him if he comes out of hitting, he's going to go big, right? I think that's just a general thing. And, well, he did show it in the IPL, but I just got a feeling. And bowling-wise, I mean, his role is to really keep it tight. I don't think he's a genuine wicket taker.
Actually, I might change it
so he might just get whacked.
Because I think it's just assumed that Jadeja is an automatic selection, but like he might not even perform that well because they look to target him and Chahal, he'd say.
Yep.
And hasn't been the best wicket taker yet. That's the reason he got dropped in the first place, like for Kuldeep. And his batting, he's actually kind of similar to Stoinis. Like when he bats well, India actually haven't won the game. Like last 2 times he's done it against New Zealand. Of the World Cup being a significant one. But yeah, I agree with what you said, Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just feel there's not that much pressure on Jadeja to score runs, considering he's got Rahul and Hardik at 5 and 6. Like no one's thinking of Jadeja as one of the key power hitters, even though he usually is for India. But yeah, I think bowling wise, he could definitely struggle. There's a chance of that.
Well, he also has to carry the tail if they get down to the tail because they can't bat.
So should we move on to the series predictions?
Yeah. I guess we'll wrap it up with this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we actually gone on for way longer than we thought. One thing I was also going to add to the predictions is what I think could win the series for both teams and what they're going to need to do to win. I'll just say to start off, I think the key for India winning this series is going to be early wickets, wickets in the power play. Like with Australia win one day is when their top three go big, and they lose one day is when they lose 2 wickets early. And that's just always how it's been recently. We rely a lot on that Finch and Warner partnership and whether or not Smith can back it up. So yeah, India are going to have to be able to get early wickets if they want to win this series, no matter how well they can bat, because Australia can bat forever with Finch and Warner. I think key to Australia winning this series is going to be
Probably say wickets in the middle and the end.
sort of, but also I
You
think
want a well set Rahul or a well set Kohli at the end.
yeah, but I also think for Australia, just taking 2 bowlers out of action is going to be really important. Attacking any sign of weakness in the bowling, and also Australia's pace attack. It's like when Stark and Cummins, if Stark and Cummins or Hazelwood can be in their best form, it's going to be so hard for India, no matter how good their batting is, to score good runs. And often it's rare they all play to their best in the same game. And I think if that could happen, we're going to be really strong.
What were your predictions, Will? What
So I was
scoreline?
gonna say similar question, Will. I mean,
Yep.
similar like discussion. Like a matchup you think will be pretty big. I think I'll start off with one that's much talked about, and that's Kohli versus Zampa. It might be playing on Kohli's mind. You know, there might have been a bit of banter in the RCB changing rooms about that, and I think he'll definitely face a lot of Zampa when he's in, and he'll need to milk him and get him out of the game. I think that's important. Also, because Zampa needs to get those wickets for Australia.
Yeah. I'll say that the matchup the other way around, I think is going to be the key one will be Bumrah and Shami against the Australian openers. Just can they get them out early? It's going to be so important to the series. How they can deal with the early pace in the power play. It's because so often you see Finch getting out in the first over, and like we're just always in trouble when Finch and Warner out early. Look at the World Cup semi. Like once again, it's just so important.
Same for India, but yeah.
India not as much. Australia, you could definitely see.
But you look at the like ICC finals. It's the same problem every time.
No, but it's different now because Rahul and their middle order is a lot stronger now.
Yeah, Rahul and Iyer look like saviors right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and based on that, my series prediction, I'm going to unfortunately say India 2-1. I don't know which one Australia's going to win yet. I think I think we might actually win the first one on the Friday and then lose the next 2. And just because India are going to outbat us slightly, India will just be able to hit 330, and we won't be able to quite chase it, or vice versa. So I'm going to say 2-1, and I think that's going to be the main reason for that will be India dominating Australia's pace attack. I think that's going to win them the series. I think the batting depth is going to be too strong. And Australia just aren't going to be able to get those key wickets. There'll be too many big partnerships for India. And I think Australia will bat okay, but I think 2 of the games, the openers won't fire as well. So that's how I see India winning the series.
Well, I'm just saying I went the complete opposite. I'm going with 3-0 Australia. I don't know. I just got this feeling that 2 out of the 3 games, Australian top 3 are going to score all the runs, like majority of the runs, get a really big total. India obviously going to rely on their big guns to chase down the score, and inevitably they're going to rely on one or two players to score 270 runs between them. So not going to be likely. Then the one game the Australian Open's don't score, that's when we're going to see the best from players like Maxwell and Stoinis, where they're going to absolutely go ham. And I think Australian bowlers are going to be really consistent through the whole season, the whole series. So I don't know. I don't think there's obviously a point where they're not all going to perform well at the same time. But the fact that their attack, we have a lot of good backup options is huge. I mean, Stoinis, the way he's bowling, Maxwell, I've just been watching some clips and he's not the worst backup bowler you can have. He keeps it pretty tight generally. I can definitely see Australia containing India's batting. So for that reason, I'm going to say 3-0 Australia.
Okay.
Well, I can see literally anything happening, any situation, any whatever. And that also includes Sydney games being rained out because that'd be classic.
Forecast is good.
Yeah.
It's good.
But what I will say is, I've said this before, so obviously both teams very strong at cricket, but India's best format one day is, Australia's worst format one day is. So I'm going to say 2-1 to India. I think there'll be a decider, and it's just the batting prowess slightly edges for India. When you look at middle order and top order combined, I think that's where India edges it.
Yeah, I think the prowess for Indian batting is always just the batting just looks a bit better than Australia's, sadly. I mean, maybe Smith will have an amazing series, which I think he will, and that might edge it. But I think the emphasis is really going to be on the Australian bowlers to outperform the Indian bowlers significantly.
I think RGD could agree that Australian bowling attack is better than India's.
Yeah, but like Will said, sometimes it just randomly gets smashed in one day.
Yeah, and like you look at when India came here for the Test summer, and Australian bowling was just didn't do anything. I know this is a different format, but I am
guess we'll
worried
see.
that like Australia, we're gonna struggle to win games if Cummins and Stark can't perform.
Well, we could talk about this for hours, so we should wrap this up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. There might even be a match day vlog coming. So
Crazy.
thanks, guys.
See ya.